these two teams, they always put on really close matches, but so far CE have become victorious. But we've had that pattern broken repeatedly over this season.
Yeah, and RPG, right at the get-go, they decide to go for the first battleground here with Sky Temple. And Sky Temple is a battleground where they have been playing fairly well on, but it's certainly also a battleground that favors CE heavily, because compared to other Chinese teams in the league, I actually do want to give CE a lot of credit in terms of playing maps very well and studying battlegrounds very intensely, very closely, to the point where they're one of the few teams, if not the only team, who have mastered playing on Towers of Doom, who regularly pick Brax's Holdout and go with their very own way of playing the Sylvanas there. So I think no matter which battleground you pick against CE, it's always going to be a tough challenge.
Yes, it is. So let's see if it's going to work out for them as we jump onto the Sky Temple. First ban going to be going over to CE.
Yep, what are they going to come up with? We've seen a lot of Illidan bans, we've seen plenty of Ariel bans, a lot of Genji as well if you are not planning on picking him yourself. However, if your first pick, like CE is here in this draft, then you normally can adjust your bans a little bit more freely, because you're going to be the ones who pick up a high priority hero after all. So let's see, is it going to be the Genji they want to pick up? But they banned the Tassadar, and you know what, Tetra? I really like that teams have deviated towards finally banning Tassadar more, because he's been such a regular customer here in almost any Chinese draft.
Yes, he has, and it's nice to see him removed. It means we're going to get a little bit of variation. No shield spamming in this particular matchup. What are we going to see from RPG? What would be a good target for CE? Right now, CE have been pretty flexible. I would say it's not really too easy to do target bans against them, so pretty cool to see that. That's
the cool thing about CE. No matter who you're trying to target ban, there's always going to be other players who jump into the fray and be like, well, I'm good too. Let me just give you my Paradise Sonya, or let me give you my Luful Rhaegar, or my Zuyu Chromie. It's so hard to really nail someone down. So, yeah, I was going to say, you should go for a very generic, very neutral global ban instead of, you know, just for a target ban, because that's not possible against CE.
And there is that Greymane being picked up first by CE. What are we going to see from RPG? What kind of prioritization are we going to be seeing from them?
I mean, I would love to see a Muradin here maybe for Wang. It's definitely one of the heroes that I enjoyed watching him the most by far. Or maybe just start off where they ended or stopped yesterday with an ETC. Wang had some beautiful mosh pits. He had some great initiations in lockdowns with a power slide, so I wouldn't hate it. I would definitely love to see a Wang hero here. But Wang looks like he's not participating. He's just like chilling. Yeah, whatever.
Just relaxing, listening to his team, letting them see what they want to pick.
Somebody must have a really soothing voice in the comms here for RPG, it seems. You don't always see the Wang this calm and collected and peaceful.
Very true, but sometimes you got to take it slow. He's always on tour. He's always performing. For those who missed it, we accidentally on purpose made the Wang into a British rock star yesterday during the broadcast.
And he continues. He continues on this path.
We see the ETC coming in once again, sticking with that rock star theme.
There we go. Now we see Luful on the other hand. Is he finally going to bust out the Karzim again? I would love to see it, because ZZH from SBT, the previous series, he just made a lot of things happen. He put in some work on that Karzim. And if there's one Karzim god in the league that has yet to be dethroned, I think it's Luful.
Problem is, though, Uther is available, and unfortunately that's probably going to take priority just due to the early cleanse and the Divine Shield against the ETC.
Fair point, my friend. Fair point. Why not take both?
This that would be an excellent choice. Who knows? Maybe that will be what they go for.
And isn't it cool how KTY, who we can see on the side of CE right now in the bottom left, despite the production forgetting about his name, has become, as you said, such a reliable and consistent player that we don't even need to mention him anymore as a potential weak link?
Yeah, it is great to see. We love it when we don't have to say the newest player to the team as a preface to anything. He is just, this is CE's KTY, and he is good.
Absolutely, absolutely. Such a consistent player he's become, and what a journey he is gone through as well over those 3 seasons of HGC China that we've been casting. Going from a kind of, you know, okay player in the ranks of Hot Lady to an absolute monster here for CE, winning a champion title with them and getting 2nd place last season. Kind of nice. No, he didn't become champion because he played for Hot Lady. My bad. My bad.
Wah, wah. It's all good. So, RPG, with their bans now, we already see a fairly solid range support 2nd tank for CE. So the clear course of action, as we just saw, is to ban out a main tank. So Nubrak is going to be the one removed. And there goes that Malthael. Both teams would have wanted it, so it's just removed. They don't want to take the risk because RPG would have had the chance to get to it first.
Yeah, exactly. So what we're currently still lacking, of course, is a Locktar or an Affinity hero, most importantly. Chicken oftentimes is their last pick because then the enemy team has a rougher time figuring out what he's going to end up picking or how they can counter Chicken, because oftentimes I feel countering Chicken can be the way to success for the opposing team. We saw that yesterday in game 1 against SBT, where he basically never had any impact whatsoever because Dehaka was constantly threatened, he was constantly pressured so much that he could never use his Burst Stalker, whereas in game 2, when they put a lot more emphasis on other guys, Chicken just landed one tongue after the other. So yep, and I think they're going for that path. They're leaving the Chicken pick open until the very end. Where is he going to be, Turiel? No.
He could be.
He could be.
We've not seen it. We've not properly seen it, but there's definitely a chance.
Yeah. I mean, Turiel can be played very aggressively like a bruiser. If you go for a Smite talents, for the Smite talent, for example, and other aggressive talents, maybe even the Judgment, depending on what your team comp is built for. For now, though, with the Lunara, I think we see a hero that has worked wonders yesterday against SPT. And against an Uther, as a solo healer, potentially, she's going to cause a lot of headaches.
Very true. So, more locked out. We could see Stitches.
I wouldn't hate it. We have yet to see a Zuyu hero and a main tank. Stitches, of course, fulfills exactly that role. Although Wind normally doesn't play a whole lot of Stitches. It's not like, you know, we remember him of being a Wang or a Butcher from, you know, the previous seasons where they absolutely crushed games on that hero. Well, let's see.
Very true. Li Ming, and there is that Stitches. I'm down. They've got lots of lockdown and now a huge amount of burst. Potentially the 2 biggest burst mages.
But Tetcher, they disrespect the Lunara. They say, okay, we don't need no secondary support. Uther is strong enough to handle that all by himself. Do you agree with that choice?
It really much depends on how they play. If they play safe and just utilize the Dehaka soaking and just get picks where they can, fine. If they try to team fight straight up, they're going to lose. And it's the Infinity Medivh. This is what they used to beat out SPT yesterday.
Yeah.
Is it enough to also beat our Phase 1 champions in the form of CE? Let us find out, Kendrick. Both these teams, very, very solid drafts.
This is almost the exact same roster they fielded against SPT yesterday, as you said. And I wonder at this point, is it too predictable? Was it too easy for CE to basically anticipate? I'm not sure, because even if you spot the composition that RPG brought to the table this time, it's so hard to play against it. And also you can wonder, why did CE then pick Uther if they basically anticipated a Lunara potentially, maybe with a Medivh? So right now, with that Stitches pick as well, I think Medivh is just the perfect counter. Someone gets hooked, you drop a portal to help that person out of harm's way, you drop a shield so they can't follow up on the damage here. I actually lean towards RPG in that draft, I do not kid you.
I would also be willing to lean in that direction. The Medivh has shown itself to be a big, big feature when it comes for RPG, when RPG taking victories. I would not be surprised to see them able to do so again. And if that happens, then we're going to start seeing Medivh bans. That is the situation we're going to be in. But if we start seeing those beautiful hooks coming from CE, then even Medivh might not be enough. He needs to position himself very effectively.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, will Infinity bring enough magic to the table to finally respect the opponents and make a Medivh ban happen? We're going to find out in a bit. Game 1 between CE and RPG coming right at ya. And starting off on the left-hand side in the blues, we have former champions of the first season, CE Alufal playing that Uther, Wind on Stitches, KTY on Grayman, Paradise on the Dahaka, and Zuyu on his Li Ming.
And on the right-hand side, it is RPG, with Chicken on Tyrael, Wang on ETC, Sa on Greymaid, Infinity on Medivh, and Loktar is playing the Lunara.
Loktar Ogar.
Loktar Ogar. Loktar Lunara.
There you go. Speaking of Lunara, we don't really see any fancy talent deviations here. The natural perspective, of course, really solid, especially against Stitches. You always want to keep track of that big guy so you can maybe avoid getting hooked or maybe just counter the hero altogether. Now, Infinity, the only one currently defending this top pressure. Wind, of course, always trying to get some early hooks in. Nothing out of the ordinary coming in from the other level 1 talents, unless you counter the guitar hero level 1 once again for ETC for very similar reasons like we mentioned yesterday. Although in this matchup here on Sky Temple, I think a proc rug would have been a solid choice as well.
It's still a very large map, but you do get globes from the temples, so
exactly.
It's not the hardest to stack. It does have, once again, lean more towards the fact that ETC is potentially going to be split pushing, but due to the fact that it's the best lane sustain talent. So there's a good chance we will see that happening for him. And once again, very similar, we already mentioned it, very similar composition to what we saw against SPT, using that double vision here. Medivh consistently scouting in bird form, when the Wisp, which I wonder if we will see the Wisp cooldown reduction talent coming in again to just maximize the amount of vision they have on the map. And I would argue that's even more important on this map than the last map we saw it on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. On Sky Temple, if you do not pay attention where Stitches positions himself at, you might find yourself in a horseshoe behind a wall and you might not be able to escape unless Medivh is in your vicinity. So I definitely wouldn't hate the cooldown reduction on the Wisp. For now, we see a lot of pressure on the Lufal, getting body blocked a little bit by Wang, but they're not willing to fully commit on that, because even if they get a kill on Uther, he's still going to be somewhat of a force in a team fight. So looks like both teams are content and happy with sharing temples for now. KTY being a very gentleman about it, not only just wearing, you know, the hat, but also dropping a little bit of additional damage for RPG. Like it.
We see Wang pulling back, doesn't want to take too much damage, gets hooked back in, but he's ETC, one of the best escaping heroes.
Yep.
So as they pull back without taking too much damage. And right now, is this just going to, by the looks of it, be a clean temple trade? Although RPG did gain like a couple shots from mid, so overall, this they'll likely come out ahead here. They're not missing any lanes that CE is so because no one is sucking bot lane at all for either team. Overall, this comes out good, and in fact, we do see that Wisp cooldown reduction on level 4 for Lunara, the time lost Wisp coming in.
Yeah, really cool to see. Now, speaking of heroes in a pinch, Chicken with a beautiful dodge, but there was not enough for him left there in order to get out of harm's way from the Zuyu burst. A nice little dance move here, a nice little stutter step to the side here to dodge the hooks. That's always nice to see. They invested a lot though in order to get that Stitches, so they're missing XP elsewhere, but of course the fact that they also get to towers in the top lane is pretty convenient, and we can't stress enough, guys, how important it is to deal some damage on that top lane so that your bruiser camp will get a little bit more value during the second temple phase, because it's always happening at the opposite side in the bottom lane.
Yes, it is. And for now, we are seeing a nice defense coming in from CE. Stitches just dropping that slam repeatedly, keeping that lane sustained as best as he can. Needs to be careful though, does not want to get caught out of position after taking a little bit of those Siege Giants as damage.
Here we go. Already CE playing a little bit more carefully than SPT yesterday, because if I remember correctly, SPT did fall victim to a couple of gangs here from RPG on this very same map. I think that was always nice to have a little bit of a, you know, comparison between CE and SPT, because those two teams are so closely matched to each other. It's always nice to see which things CE does better, whereas SPT sometimes is ahead in certain other aspects.
Yeah, right now, see, over the last two phases, SPT have looked a bit stronger. That's a follow-through coming in for Tyrael. That usually leads to potentially one thing, Kendrick. Do you remember what that's...
We're kind of seeing a couple of indicators leaning towards a judgment play, because...
What?
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding you. I mean, of course, you know what I'm talking about, right? Because you gave me the transition. But you want to have as much single target damage
Hey! Sniped with the Arcane Rift. Nicely done.
Beautiful. And you know what the best thing about this is? This still counted as a stack for the Master's Touch, so Infinity...
He did.
Stacking up, getting them kills. But back to the Tyrael build. You basically want to have as much single target damage against that lockdown target of the Judgment as possible. And as such, the Smite and the follow through will greatly help in that endeavor.
Yes, it will. So, Wang, getting a little bit zoned out here. Needs to be careful. Infinity's with him though. Force of Will's repeatedly being dropped. The fall will go down. But the question is, can they get anything out of this? Stun onto Paradise. Arcane Rifts being dropped repeatedly. Locktar gagging from below. He's trying to escape. Is the poison enough? He's still near enemies.
He's going for the kick.
Turn around and kill him. Does not get Sar, and Paradise able to survive. Beautiful escapes there. HGC used all his CC.
Yeah, that was so nice. He waited until the Power Slide and the knockback were on cooldown before he used the Brush Stalker, only to get out of harm's way. The poison damage not ticking fast enough from Lunara, but at least Infinity on the Medivh got a couple of juicy stacks out of this, but they would have loved to get that kill for sure.
Yes, they would. So Chicken playing a little bit further back, doesn't want to get caught out yet. It's just being defensive.
Okay, Tetra. Now, with Tyrael going for such an aggressive playstyle, most likely. I mean, it's China after all. We never truly know what they're going to end up picking. We're going to find out in a bit. 10 has now been reached. And it is Sanctification after all, so forget what we just tried to tell you guys. Obviously, Chicken just has his own way of playing Tyrael. We're going to closely watch that build, though, and see if some of the other talents may have been a better choice after all. Super excited to see this aggressive follow-through build.
Very true, very true. It's going to give him some decent team fight damage. We'll see if it is enough for him.
Stage dive
on the other side. On what, sorry?
Stage dive 2, though, on Wang. No mosh pits.
Yeah. That's fine, I guess. Giving the pseudo global, there against Stitches to Haka. Wave of Force could have been taken. I think Li Ming did actually hold until she saw that stage dive. Uther, on the other hand, is still holding his heroic. Not entirely sure what for.
And Alufal is no stranger to picking Divine Storm. In fact, he has been picking this heroic ability a lot over the last few weeks and days. So, and he goes for it, obviously. He wants to have that additional stun lockdown maybe after a successful hook. So they're going to go for the Hammer of Justice plus Divine Storm to totally prevent anything from escaping. However, there's a couple of counterplays to that. We have the Sanctification, we have the Lane Line Seal. I'm not sure if I like the Divine Storm here, Tetra.
It could be potentially risky, but if they're able to land those hooks, like you said, this could just be the end of anyone they're able to hook in, unless Medivh can drop a beautiful Force of Will. We will have to wait and see how this goes, because for now, it's just slams, just laning. Neither with no objective up, neither team is willing to make a aggressive move outside of looking for those hooks.
Yeah, this is a highly, highly passive game here. Both teams trying to go for the macro approach, trying to keep the lanes in check, going for mercenary camps, deep pushing as well. And this game will pick up a lot of momentum, a lot of speed later on when those late game hooks end up landing inevitably, because as more time goes by, less structures are getting available, and the more teams really have to defend to the bone in order to save keeps and the core alike.
And so we see Wind moving on to the position. Going to try and hold the line here. Mid's already being taken by CE, so if they can somehow take this, and that's going to be good. HGC finally contesting mid as Wind takes a lot of damage, but with that huge Stitches health pool, is holding, gets the hook. Here's the stun. Force of Will, Divine Storm not used, held patiently, but that splintered spear value drives CE back.
What are you going to do, Alufal, on the Uther? There's not a lot you can do. If you waste too much healing before the real fight even starts, you're going to drop low on mana, just like it happened here. And as you said, the Splintered Spear coming in from Lunara is so powerful. Wang is dodging absolutely everything, now getting protected by Medivh as well, taking a point-blank portal and gets hooked again.
Again! He doesn't need to. Instead, he's going to stage dive. Only hits a Alufal, but that's good. That's a beautiful slow. For the
out of mana.
Alufal poison is good, and the Alufal is dropped.
I don't understand why Alufal even thought and decided to go for this fight here. He was completely out of mana. There was nothing he could have done to save anyone. So the fact that CE, including Alufal, went for the fight here as a whole was a little bit of a misplay. Communication should have been like, guys, I'm out of mana, please let me go back. We can't take that ETC. We're probably not going to kill it against Medivh anyway, so just wait until I'm back. But unfortunately that didn't happen, and as such, RPG is looking incredibly powerful.
Yes, they are utilizing this stage dive very nicely with the Now here's the argument for stage dive. Yeah, there's very little interrupt, other than Wave of Force could have been taken, but there's isolation, drag, etc. But there's also the fact that it would give Lunara time to stack poison, but then what? Then you're still fighting a team that's poisoned but not dead. Exactly. They don't have the burst needed. So instead, I'm loving the stage dive. They're utilizing it very well so far, even though that last one was basically point blank, but it certainly worked.
Yeah, it certainly worked. I think he could have even placed it a little bit more towards the left, so he would have hit more people. But we're not going to complain about a kill in a one-team fight as a result. Also, keep in mind that, once again, just like we mentioned in the previous series, ETC with this playstyle, once again, going for the AoE wave clear with the Echo Pedal level 7 and Stage Dive has a lot more to offer when it comes to keeping Dehaka in check. And this duel here between Wang and I believe it's... no, who's playing Dehaka? It's Paradise? Yeah, I think it's Paradise. Like, this duel will basically be an eternal struggle. Who's going to be able to wait longer, soak more XP, and arrive quicker to the team fight?
Indeed it will be, and Wang is holding the lane for the moment, clearing as best he can. Here comes the rest of CE, looking to try it and grab Chicken there, but Chicken playing far enough back to not keep himself in danger. And it's interesting, the more I think about this follow-through, there is a single argument I can make in my head that makes it make so much more sense, and that's that this is Chicken. He yes. wants to be able to do damage.
Yep.
And that's fair. He's got Burning Rage, he's got follow-through, he wants to be stuck in as much as possible, hit things as hard as he can, and the second he's about to die, hit that R, keep himself alive, and hope his team is with him.
Yeah, very true. Sometimes Chicken just does things the Chicken way, and more often than not, will it carry him to success. For now, though, CE positioning themselves very, very solidly here on that top temple. Is RPG willing to fight this, or are they going to say, no, we're going to wait? But either way, they need to take things a little bit patiently, a little bit more slowly, because they can spread out that poison damage in order to once again cause a couple of mana issues for Lufel. The hook lands, though. Immediate Sanctification follow-up, though, by Chicken.
That is a lot of... oh, no, the portal! Infinity dropping through the portal, looking for a play. Instead, gets immediately dragged. Well predicted by Dehaka. And the over-eagerness from multiple different directions there, coming in from RPG. The over-eagerness and the Sanctification, just in case they got caught. The over-eagerness for the portal to try and make a play. They just tried to play a step ahead. Yeah. CE were prepared. They tried to play a step ahead with obvious moves.
And I can imagine Wang on the ETC, who didn't participate in this fight at all, was probably yelling at his teammates, guys, take it easy, take it easy, take it easy, and Infinity and Chicken just pressed all the button immediately at the moment the team fight started. And Wang's just like, guys, really?
On the bright side, Medivh did not use his heroic. He still has that leyline, and he's now back alive. He did. Oh, yeah. I don't think he was completed.
I don't think he was completed either.
Has found a delicious wind, though, and wind may fall. Lots of damage. Nah, Uther. Here in time. There's a gorge. Is there a leaping strike still available? No. 12 seconds for the next one. Leap. Here's the drop, though, the stage dive, and wind is removed. Beautifully executed there. That ley line really saving them.
Okay, Infinity just made up for the slight mistake he made. That leyline seal was absolutely fantastic, but isn't it crazy how long it took RPG to really kill the Stitches despite him going full slam? Stitches is just such a tanky boy.
He is a very tanky boy. It was very well done that they were able to survive that. But good job that time. Stitches is very much making his tankiness worth. I'm also kind of iffy that Stitches did not pick Fleabag, but I guess the extra arc is still really useful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The arc is very, very crucial in order to really turn on the damage as that late game damage powerhouse that Stitches can become. For now, though, let's see. He's going to be back in a bit. Gorge is going to be ready again as well. The cool thing about Stage Dive, like whenever you play ETC with a Stage Dive build, it brings a whole different flow, a whole different dynamic into your composition because you don't have to wait 120 seconds all the time once a mosh pit is down. You can always drop more pressure onto the enemy team because Stage Dive's cooldown is much lower. So already I'm expecting RPG to play a lot more aggressively.
I would be down for that as well. I'd like to see some more aggressive mosh pits. That sounds very fun indeed. Not mosh pits, stage dives. Brain please. Let's see if they are able to do so, or if they're even willing to do so. For now, they're still doing that 3-1-1 split of scouting Medivh, soaking ETC, and then the 3-man rotation.
Look at the level 16 talent coming in from Rhaegar here, from
Ooh,
that is the Rising Storm. That causes more damage the more lightning shield stacks hit the enemy team, and combine that with the slow from ETC, that could be pretty huge. So Burning Rage, Lightning Shield, there's going to be a lot of surprising AoE damage coming in, plus the Echo Pedal as well. I think CE must not underestimate this amount of AoE damage, especially with Uther struggling a little bit when it comes to keeping multiple people alive at the same time. I'm loving these talent picks here from RPG.
As a mine, I see they can make it. Stage dive coming in. Sanctification.
Let's go.
Drops Wind is study so tanky. Divine Storm's good though. Beautiful turnaround. Tyrael is deleted as Li Ming gets reset after reset after Force of Will. Reset, and Leyline Seal is able to keep everyone else alive. It's a 2-for-1 trade in favor of CE.
Yeah, that escalated really quickly the moment Greymane and Zuyu just decided to collapse on that Lunara and blow her out of her socks. Even the greatest spell shield at level 13 could not protect her against all of that arcane goodness coming out of Li Ming's hands. And I do have to tell you, Tetra, judging from how the game, or how this team fight started, I was not very confident in CE's abilities to survive that. But a big Divine Storm coming in from Malufal as well, proving once again why he is the support god in China that we know him to be. I think that was the turning point. That was where the kills happened and the resets flow in.
Yeah, that went very, very well for them. Nicely done. Even though it was only a 1-hero advantage on the trade, it was still a nicely done fight. Alufal turning that on its head. So we get a little stutter, but it's fine. Nothing was happening other than Infinity being nosy.
And now, of course, we have that level 20 arriving on the side of RPG as well. And look at the XP. Look at the overall XP. RPG, despite losing that team fight, is not too far behind at all. Also, in terms of structures, everything's dead. Even Medivh once again losing all those stacks. Look at that Tetra. He's sitting at 1 puny stack. Oh.
Yep. It's sad and it sucks. And that's when sometimes you think, oh, maybe if I'd gone for, like, the extra...
Arcane Explosion? Yeah.
No. No one ever goes for that.
Okay. Oh, we see the 20 upgrade hungry stitches on the side of Wind.
This could be an amazing idea or absolutely terrible.
Oh,
I'm excited to see what it is. We also see Medivh cheats fairly obviously. Storm Shield for Rhaegar, maximum shielding capabilities. ETC holding for now. Usually we'll end up seeing the cooldown reduction, but in theory he could go for Death Mosh, which is the most likely he's holding.
Wang just casually dropping and dodging the tongue here coming in from Paradise. So nice to see how good of micromanagement those Chinese players have. And as such, nothing happened to him. But as you said, level 20 is going to be very interesting for any ETC in professional play. Because as you said, the Death March could be good. The increased radius and lower cooldown on stage dive could be fantastic. Let's see what we're going to see.
Yeah,
Two
there's
temples.
Storm Shield for self-protection for your team. There's Bolt the Storm in case you think you're going to get ganked more. You have so many options.
True.
As ETC level 20. In fact, I'd argue it's probably one of the best level 20 talent tiers in the game.
Absolutely. It's really, really hard to decide sometimes, and that's when you know the Heroes designer team on ETC did a good job. Now, RPG, they need to be careful. Yep. It's the upgraded stage dive. They need to be careful, though. They don't want to show too many people in the top lane getting this temple, although it's so important for them, because if CE gets the top temple, that keep is going to fall for RPG. But if they show too many people, the boss is basically naked and exposed, and CE could capitalize on that.
Yes, they could. Have to be very careful here. As Chicken moves on to this temple, just holding the line for the moment, just getting a couple shots. Doesn't want to stay here too long, though. Already throwing Elder in so we can teleport out, because we can see CE moving forward. And Chicken very nearly getting caught, but that extra movement speed, getting him out. Down goes top keep. ETC is still soaking here. I'm not entirely sure what he's soaking for at this point.
He was basically just getting bullied off the platform here by Paradise. Dehaka seems to be the better duelist in a straight-up one-on-one, and that's causing them 2 keeps to go down. Wow. I'm not sure why RPG isn't turning on the heat here and trying to go for a fight. They just can't lose all those structures.
KTY is the target here. He is a bit isolated. Here's the armor coming in from Uther with Guardian of the Ancient Kings. The Holy Ground is good. Divine Storm, hungry. Stitches.
Oh, he gets them all.
It's the only one out, but now Stitches is slightly isolated. The spreading silence from Dehaka moving forward. It's absolute destruction. Holy Ground again. Force Will keeping him alive. We're seeing Locktar base desperately trying to survive as the rest of his team drops. Wang has fled to the north as Locktar flees to the east.
An absolute lights out here power outage for RPG. They did not know what was going on. Everyone got silenced. Everyone got blinded. Paradise spreading the goodness. And they're now full momentum swing, full driver's seat. They take out the boss. They got 2 keeps prior to that. I don't know how RPG can stabilize from that. They're going to need a miracle.
They are in serious trouble. Their only hope is a full team wipe and then just rushing to the other side. And that's hard because Redemption is available. Rip stacked. They are lucky that this is the one lane they still have a keep in. So this boss has at least some barrier, but there's still 12 seconds for Tyrael.
12 seconds for Tyrael, 10 seconds for Rhaegar, and even if they end up respawning, all of the heroic abilities are going to be on cooldown. Ancestor Healing, Sanctification, and those are so crucial when it comes to defending the core. CE, they posture up, they siege up, and they're going for the red core.
They're going for it. Here comes the stage dive. Last ditch effort here. Hungry Stitches delaying any kind of protection. Leaping Strike focusing on to win, trying to take him down, but the core is dropping. The core is on half health, as is the boss. Core down to 20%. That is GG. Nothing RPG can do. And CE take game number 1.
They take game number 1 in spectacular fashion, Tetcher. They did what SPT could not in game number 2 yesterday. They finally overcome the Lunara Medivh Rhaegar shenanigans. Unfortunately, the mosh pits were not there this time around, but we can't really fault anyone here on the side of RPG individually because I still think they played well for the most part. It was just that one team fight with the contagion and the hungry Stitches causing them to be all standing together, and then it was so easy for Paradise to spread the sickness, and boy, did that decimate RPG.